This is one of my favorite scenes in my favorite movie, The Wicker Man, 1973. It's a little throwaway bit, and it took me many, many rewatchings to fully appreciate it.
The little old beetle goes round and round, always the same way, you see, until it ends up right up tight to the nail. Poor old thing.
Poor old thing? And why in God's name do you do it, girl?
She knows why she does it, but she can't say, because that, of course, would ruin everything. But it's this moment and a dozen others like it that make The Wicker Man so brilliant and also so horrifying. Speaking of ruining everything, this video will have lots of spoilers for The Wicker Man. If you haven't seen it yet, consider this your warning to make your appointment with The Wicker Man. It'll make this video essay more enjoyable, and also it is just genuinely my favorite movie. So if you go off, just make sure you leave a comment before you go saying that you're going to do that so I still get an algorithm boost. Thank you. The first time you watch The Wicker Man, it's inevitable you will identify with Sergeant Howie, the policeman. He's trying to solve the movie's core mystery: what happened to Rowan Morrison? His search is stymied by the fact that nobody on secluded Summer Isle seems to even know who she is.
You're saying that she is not from the island?
That's right, she's not from here.
The mystery of Rowan Morrison is genuinely captivating. Director Robin Hardy and screenwriter Anthony Schaefer have even argued that it's not a horror movie, it's a mystery. And I'd agree with them up until about the last 15 minutes. So since both the audience and Howie are trying to uncover the mystery, you naturally identify with him. He's the main character, he's the POV. But something unique happens on your second, third, 108th rough estimate viewing of the movie. The film is crafted to fit the villager's perspective as much as it is Howie's, in small and clever ways. But it's hard to spot until you've seen the movie and understand the depth of the villager's deception. Take, for instance, this scene with Howie and the landlord. Howie passes Rowan's photo around the bar. We can pretty much predict what response it'll get, so it's done in a montage. When we cut back to real time, we see the landlord leaning up against this wall of pictures. From Howie's perspective, and the audience's initially, this doesn't seem like a purposeful choice. But for the landlord, it's really funny. He's chosen to lean up against a massive clue to Rowan's mystery, a missing picture. He even says,
It got broke.
But if you're eagle-eyed, or if you've just watched this movie as many times as I have, you'll notice that this picture is actually broken, but it's still hanging up. The landlord might as well be going, isn't it weird that this photo is missing? The first time you watch this scene, you don't really know what's happening, so the nuance is easy to miss. Or consider the Hand of Glory, this classical Gothic prop that I love. The landlord and Willow do this little skit within Howie's hearing to set it up. When you're watching as Howie, it's like, oh, thank God they didn't get him. But watching it a second time, it's like, well, obviously this is staged, come on.
He might sleep for days.
All the better.
Shh.
Also, I love that Willow can't help but flirt, knowing that Howie can totally hear her.
That'll make you sleep, my pretty sergeant.
And that poor old beetle, well, that's Howie, winding himself up with no release, if you know what I mean. The movie is absolutely stuffed with little jokes and pokes like this, things that seem innocuous or playful, until you realize that they're very purposeful and very playful, like how a cat plays with a mouse, or how I always let my carrots have a head start. The villagers have to do these pranks as part of the final ritual. The movie only really alludes to this in passing.
A man who has come here is a fool.
But it's part of why Howie is such a valuable sacrifice. These jokes are what make him the fool. And the more ridiculous the jabs, the more powerful his sacrifice is. And the villagers all look to Lord Summerisle to guide them in this long, fatal prank.
We don't commit murder up here. We're a deeply religious people.
There is a lot to be said about horror movies that put you in the position of the killer. A hallmark of slashers in the 70s and 80s was the murderer POV shot. It was criticized by some for creating a sympathy between the audience and the killer, or for titillating the audience by giving them a taste of being a predator. Others defended it as a strategy for making the audience feel even more powerless, since the killer remains unseeable. It was a controversial cinematic strategy, and it's one that deserves its own standalone video. Even without using POV shots, The Wicker Man does an incredible job of aligning you, the audience, with the killers, aka the villagers. Once you know the truth about the villagers' motives, all those little hints become parsable to you. Howie remains literally clueless, so he's not the perspective character any longer. You and the villagers know the truth, so you're aligned with each other and against Howie. What the Wicker Man gets right about religions or cults or literally any community is how alluring it is to be on the inside, especially when somebody else is on the outside. And it's really effective at communicating that feeling to the audience. The movie incentivizes and rewards you for aligning with the villagers by making that a position of power and insight. So even though you know these villagers are going to wicker that man, it's still really fun to be on their side. Instead of allowing the landlord to control our gazes, we stand alongside him and smirk at the flustered sergeant. We revel in the lewdness. We laugh with the schoolgirls at that poor creature. I mean, the villagers are having a great time. It all feels like a game, so we don't think about the fact that we are taking part in this ritual. That every time we laugh at Howie for not seeing these things, we're imbuing his sacrifice with even more power. But the villagers are as much beetles as Howie is, so to speak. The beetle winding around the nail is mirrored in a scene that happens moments earlier. The maypole dance. All of these people intertwining their threads around this central figure, jubilantly weaving themselves tighter and tighter until they're all bound up. As far as symbols of cults go, I think that's pretty powerful. After all, Lord Summerisle, as the head of the religion, probably concocted the idea of the sacrifice to appease his people after a terrible harvest. Under his guidance, the villagers are happy, willing participants in a murder that they can't perceive as a murder. But as the audience, we can see the moral implications of their actions, regardless of who we align with in the story. And that's the deep tension at the heart of the Wicker Man. Neither Howie nor the villagers can see that they are being wound in. Only we, outsiders who are powerless to do anything, can see the threads. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it and you want to help other people find it, please share it on the social medias. And also, if you like and comment, then maybe Algorithm Senpai will notice me. That would be really beneficial because I did not do myself any favors by making my launch video for this channel about a 49-year-old cult movie. I need all the help I can get. I just love this movie so fucking much. I also have a Patreon. Da-da-da-da! I already have up a kind of behind-the-scenes making-of video of this video that has like things that I cut from the script and why I cut them. So it's a little bit of a post view of how I make these videos, which I hope you find interesting. But more than anything, you can just subscribe to support me. Basically, your support is vital in allowing me to continue doing this work that I like and that hopefully you like. So please sign up for my Patreon. Oh, what the fuck's my Patreon link? The link is patreon.com/thejenna, probably.